Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
Let's go, baby.
Like I said, we've got, we started to go down this rabbit hole
I
a
know.
little bit in the first segment. So
let's go again.
Here it is, baby. Marcus Freeman on the job that IU head coach Curt Cignetti has done in his first season at Bloomington.
I mean, coach has done a wonderful job to take this program to win 11 games in the Big Ten and in a Big Ten season, and to have this team ready to make a run in the playoffs. I mean, it's a credit to the coach. I didn't know much about him. I took a minute and Googled him and looked at some of the things he's done in the past at his other places. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been. So he's done a great job. We expect a great opponent. I've just briefly started looking at them. They're a talented team that really takes care of the football, right? They play complementary football. Their defense is a pressure attacking defense that really makes you earn everything you got and you get. And the offense has done a good job of taking care of the football, being consistent at what they do, and done some really good things in the red zone. So that's just my initial look at them. Obviously, we have a few days to really take a deep dive and figure out a plan of attack as we get ready for a Friday game.
So a couple of different things.
Oh yeah.
One, I like how Freeman didn't even, he kept a straight face. He didn't laugh. He didn't chuckle with the Google comments. I mean, that was that was excellent.
And he like gave the whole quote too. He's like, I Googled him. He wins everywhere he's been. Like without breaking stride.
I know.
I give him a lot of credit for that, man.
Absolutely.
Man.
I mean, it was like he was the straight man. He just went right through that with a straight face. I loved it.
Really good.
Two, so I'm flying back from Syracuse yesterday, and I had asked Vince to record the press conference and send it to me. So I'm driving home from the airport, and I'm playing it, like in my car, and I'm listening to it, and there's all this, these like saran wrap wrapper sounds, and I'm like, surely Marcus Freeman is not eating snacks during his Zoom call. And then I hear...
No way. Did this thing really pick up that much sound?
Did you really lick your fingers when you were eating whatever
I did not.
snack?
I did not, because it was a chocolate chip cookie. There was no fingers to lick.
It sure sounded like it.
There was no lip smacking.
Fortunately,
like that.
I found the clean feed. You didn't get the wrappers in the background. But thank you for recording it.
Did you use my audio at all? Was it even worth your time?
I wasn't. It was too snackified, is what it was.
What about the Cignetti one? Did you use that one at all?
I did not.
Oh, I'll see. Total waste of my time.
But it helped me listen.
Okay.
So I knew it was, what to look for when I came back. It helped quite a bit.
God.
I mean, look, I'll give Cignetti credit because, again, their last win over Notre Dame was in 1950.
Yeah.
And, not that they've played a whole lot since then, but still, this was just their 15th winning season since 1950. And in the 11 wins that they have is the most they've ever had. They've never before this year had another double-digit win season in Indiana football history.
That's
you got to give Cignetti a lot of
absolutely. You have to give him absolute credit for that. And I think he's done a wonderful job. He's done a wonderful job, but just, have some
little humility.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe not even
that. It doesn't even
but,
have to be humility.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be humility. Just like,
self-awareness. Maybe?
Yes, that's better. A little self-awareness, a little awareness of the field around you. You know what I mean? Like, again, he didn't make the schedule. So if I was him, I would be like, look, we're going to play the teams that are on the schedule and we're going to do what we do to them. And it is what it is. Yeah, it hasn't been the toughest schedule. Like after the schedule is over, like once we get to where we are now, you can at least appreciate the fact that everybody you played in your conference, except for two, were in the bottom half. Like they peppered the bottom half of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they took advantage of the bottom half of the conference. It's okay to admit that.
They're used to being in the bottom half of the conference. Right.
Absolutely. So those are usually losses. And so huge props to make those wins.
We brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Purdue, who just fired its coach and hired the UNLV head coach, Purdue had a tougher schedule this season than either Penn State or Indiana. Now, obviously, they paid the price because of that schedule, but
Correct.
like Purdue's schedule was tougher than either one of the two of the teams from the Big Ten who were in the college football playoff this year.
Saw a stat a few weeks ago about Purdue that if they were spotted 34 points at the beginning of every single game this year, they would have been 6-6 this year. Like, that's how poorly they got outscored this season. But they played a lot of really good teams too. They were playing the upper half of the Big Ten.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So yes, they were a very bad football team. There's no doubt about that. But they were just coming up against, banging their head against the wall every single week.
We'll come back to Curt Cignetti here in a minute.
Nice.
Fill in the blank. Penn State head coach James Franklin saying, quote, everyone should be playing a conference championship, end quote, to be in the college football playoff is blank.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, why does that have to, explain to me why being in a conference is the be all end all. Like, why does that matter to people so much? I truly do not understand why that matters to people so much. That sounds like a guy who just lost a conference championship game. That's what that sounds like to me.
Well, and he was complaining afterwards. Did you see the video of him,
About
where he's
the
up on
band?
the podium and he's complaining about the band and he's like, this is a JV setup. It's like, you remember the Super Bowl a few years back? I think it was the Super Bowl. I think it was the Broncos Panthers when Cam Newton was like doing his press conference and there was all kinds of like noise from, like the other room that was drowning him out. And it's like, happens at the Super Bowl, it can't happen at the Big Ten championship.
Do you remember when the interview room at Notre Dame used to be on the other side, and we would be in there and we'd be interviewing the coach or somebody, and then the band, Notre Dame's band, comes marching up the tunnel at the end of the game. You can't hear a single thing that's happening because the band is going through. Like, it is what it is.
Like I think after the USC win last year, because like even that, like the press conference room in there, like it's right by the tunnel, like they have like when the doors are closed and everything, it fairly mutes things out for the most part, in most games. But like people were fired up after that, and especially when the door opened, it was just like you were just swallowed in sound. It's like it happens from time to time when people get excited. But the other thing is, James Franklin, here's a newsflash for you: not everyone who's besides Notre Dame, not everyone who is in the college football playoff played in a conference championship game. There are three other teams, Indiana being one of them, Ohio State, and Tennessee, the other two.
Right.
They didn't play in conference championship games either. So, like, just because you're in a conference doesn't automatically mean you're going to play in a conference championship.
That's just you automatically get, eliminated from the college football playoff because you didn't go and lose in a conference championship. Like, that makes no sense. Like, listen to yourself talk before you say these things, man. You think this is a plug for you and your program, and it's just not. It's just not. It's not coming out the way you think it is.
Let's let Army, be in the college football playoff because they won a conference championship.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or Jacksonville State, you're in.
Yeah. Or Tulane, they played in a conference championship game,
right?
So let's just let Tulane in, or UNLV,
or Ohio. Show me one tournament in college sports or any sport for that matter where only division or conference champions get into the playoff or playing in the championship game. You get into the playoff. Never. The basketball, there's 68 teams, so all the conference champions get in automatically, but there's a ton of at-large bids. And
vast majority, well, not vast majority, but
majority, still.
Good majority of the field didn't win a conference championship.
Like, come on, man.
So longtime college football writer Andy Staples, who's currently with On3, had this to say about Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame hosting Indiana. Quote, "This is a huge spot for Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman, who is finishing season 3 and still doesn't have a signature win. This season probably would be considered a disappointment if Notre Dame didn't advance at least to the quarterfinals. If Notre Dame can beat the Hoosiers, the Irish might provide a tough stylistic matchup for Georgia. But that's not something anyone in South Bend needs to think about because Cignetti is going to have the Hoosiers ready, end quote. Again, that's from Andy Staples. So the first part about the signature win, saying Freeman lacks the signature win. What do you think about that?
This one's tough for me, to be perfectly honest with you. Because, he's got some big, he's got, Clemson, right? He's got big wins.
You're almost kind of writing it off, because it's like, Clemson was ranked number 4.
That's true.
2 years ago.
This is true.
In November, so this wasn't like a preseason ranking. They were 4th in the country coming into Notre Dame Stadium in early November when Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman just thrashed them around the field all night long. They were still ranked number 7 when they played in their bowl game. They were a top 10 team. USC last year, led by the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, was a number 10 team in the country when Caleb Williams had the worst game of his career, literally the only 3 interception game.
They made him look terrible.
Those are 2 top 10 teams. So do top 10 teams not count as signature wins now? Like, what am I missing here?
No, look, you're absolutely 100% correct. These would, if he wins a couple of games here, those replace those, right? But I think as of right now, I agree with you. Those are absolutely signature wins. Because look, what do people remember? They remember the 2 Ohio State games. Like, that's what people, he can't win the big games.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they remember, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
And it's just always, moving goalposts with what counts as big and what, because look, I would bet, and I have no idea what Staples was picking going into the season, but I would bet, like almost everyone else, it seemed like he was probably picking Texas A&M to beat Notre Dame.
Oh, I guarantee.
And Notre Dame went because tough environment and all these different factors.
Right.
So that doesn't count probably as a signature win anymore. I still rank that below either Clemson or USC from last, because again, those are 2 top 10 teams, but still that was a big win. So I think we need to get off. Like, agreed. If that's a national narrative, you need to get off that right now because Freeman has already proven that he can beat those kind of teams. Like you said, now can you do it in games that matters? Because that's the next for Notre Dame is like the 30-year-old drought of winning big bowl games. And to me, this counts as
I agree
a big bowl game.
And I would say that. The only thing I agree with what he said in that entire thing was the sentence that says this season would probably be considered a disappointment if Notre Dame doesn't advance to the quarterfinals. I agree.
I agree too.
I agree. It would be a disappointment if they lose to IU.
Especially you're hosting a playoff game.
That would be a massive disappointment to me. 11 wins, great. But you didn't win when it mattered. That's how I would feel. And so that part I agree with. The rest of it is nonsense. Is Cignetti going to have his team ready? Well, he better. They're an 11-1 team. Why would? It doesn't matter. We'll just show up. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
that's part of why Indiana's so good because they are ready every week. They're very opportunistic when it comes to turnovers, just like Notre Dame is. They rank right next to each other in turnover margin nationally. They don't make big boneheaded mistakes. That's why you've got the core of your team came from, James Madison and some other smaller conferences and things, like Rourke, obviously coming from Ohio University. Like, you brought in a lot of group of 5 teams, but they bought into the culture. It helps when a guy like Cignetti is able to bring in the culture like he did from James Madison, like we've talked about before. But that's why he's going to have them ready. I have no doubt.
Of course, he's going to have them
ready. I just think Notre Dame is the better team, and it's going to show next Friday night.
Of course, he's going to have them ready. I would be upset if he didn't have him ready. Like, come on. If there's a reason that Notre Dame opened it at 8.5-point favorite, right? Because Notre Dame's a better football team. Now, does the better football team always win? No. But can you imagine the offseason that Notre Dame fans are going to have to sit through if they lose to IU at Notre Dame? I don't want to have to think about it. It was bad enough this past offseason having Michigan be a national champion. Not ready. Not ready for it mentally.
Not ready for that one at all.
Nope.
All right. So this is IU head coach Curt Cignetti on CBS Saturday night during the Oregon Penn State Big Ten championship game. broadcast.
Here's my question, right? There's 6-1 loss teams in the country, right? Okay. We lost to the second-ranked team on the road. Penn State lost to the 4th-ranked team at home.
Same team.
Texas lost to the 5th-ranked team at home. Boise lost to the 7th-ranked team. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. And SMU lost to an unranked team at the time they played. So how are we not right now seeded for a home game? That's what I want to know. We got the largest margin of victory in the country. Okay, take out the FCS and the G5, right? P4 only. We're outscoring people 40-17. Second in the country. So because our name is Indiana and not Michigan.
Okay, so there you go, Vince. That is blank.
Half truths. That's what it is.
Self-serving.
The fact that he described Ohio State 2 different times as 2 different ranks.
Same team, yeah.
Like, it's the same team. Come on. Like, yeah, that was a very self-serving little response that I'm sure he had prepared for himself. To be honest with you, I would love to go back and because I haven't done this, looking at Notre Dame's margin of victory in Power 4 games. I would like to see what that is. I'm curious as to, because he said it was 40-17. I just feel like Notre Dame's was bigger, but I don't know that without checking, and I don't want to be that guy. But, who did you play? Who did you play?
And this is the problem, Vince, because this is like what we were kind of starting to touch on earlier. Like, what's your best win? I don't want to know what your best loss is. Like,
that's just a line item. Like, that's important.
That's right.
It's a piece of it. No, but that can't be the only argument.
Right. That's not the resume, And as the season went on, Notre Dame played better. Well, I'm not saying Indiana played worse, but look, they barely beat that same 2 games above 500 Michigan team that ended up beating Ohio State at the end of the season, So what's your best win that, that serious question, what is their best? It's basically Michigan. That's what I come up with. Right. Because who measures themselves based on their quality losses? And he can talk about, the margin of victory and all that stuff. Notre Dame, I didn't go and do what Notre Dame's is, but look, Indiana's got a good defense. Notre Dame's got a good defense. Indiana's got a good offense. Notre Dame's got a good offense. Let me find it here real quick because I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. But yeah, Notre Dame's given up 13.5 points per game right now. Indiana's given up 14.6 points per game this season. And that is all games combined, because Indiana, even though he's going, Power 4 and whatever, Indiana did play FCS. They did play Group of 5, so that factors into that as well, but Notre Dame played 7 teams above 500, 4 teams with losing records, and 8 bowl eligible teams. Indiana played 2 teams above 500, as you pointed out earlier, Michigan and Ohio State, 8 teams with losing records.
Correct.
8 teams, twice as many teams with losing records Indiana played compared to Notre Dame, and they also played half as many bowl eligible teams. Notre Dame played 8 bowl eligible teams. Indiana played 4 bowl eligible teams.
I got one for you. Direct response to what he just said. He said that Power 4 teams only, it was 40-17. He said that was second in the nation in margin of victory. Guess who was first?
I'm going to guess it's Notre Dame.
42-14.5.
Of course, he left that part out of there, right?
Left that part out because that's not self-serving.
Because that's who he was trying to compare himself to.
Like, you're number 2 to Notre Dame, dude. It's just, I thought that might have been the case, but I just quickly did the math because Notre Dame played 8 Power 4 teams this year because, Army and Navy, Miami, and NIU. So 42-14.5.
And what's funny about this whole thing is he says this Saturday night, again, that's during CBS's Big Ten championship game broadcast, so he's going on and he's railing on this, I think if you looked up, maybe self-righteous in the dictionary, there might be a picture of him. Don't Google that. Maybe
Google
being it. I can't verify that, but there just might be, but he's talking about this Saturday night. The selections are maybe a little more than 12 hours later at that point. And of course, one of the teams that he's, throwing the daggers at, he's going to play his playoff game in their building here next week.
That wasn't super smart, but
little irony there. Yeah.
Like I said,
I think it's good for Notre Dame.
It's fantastic.
If he's all puckered up about the fact, and he's mad about the fact that they've got to go on the road, I think that's only good for Notre Dame because he's thinking about the wrong thing.
And the limelight and the spotlight is going to all be on IU, and it's almost going to make it sound like Notre Dame's the underdog. Like that's his goal right now is to, hey, look at us, we're so good, and Notre Dame's just going to be like, okay, look at them. Here we come. Here we come. So I'm fine with it. Keep going, Curt.
Matt's asking if the Bears rumors for Freeman are garbage. I don't think they're garbage. I think that at the very least, someone over there, has mentioned Marcus Freeman, but the Bears' interest in Freeman does not equate to Freeman's interest in the Bears.
Nailed it. Correct. It has to be two-way for it to matter,
right.
And I don't think it matters right now.
Yeah. And he was asked about that during the Zoom again yesterday, and he basically said...
Team success, individual success. It's the same answer every time.
Exactly.
Which I don't blame him. I'm not saying it's a bad
what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't just dismiss it completely because you never know. Someday, maybe, that is a thing that he wants to do. So why would you throw cold water on the whole thing now? But he's not looking to move right now, guys. Unless they lose to IU, maybe.
Well, I see. Yeah. And that's, Jesse and I had this, we did a whole show on it last week. I mean, the leverage is in Marcus Freeman's favor in terms of playing out, contract extension, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Right now. Carlos wants to know what the weather's like up here.
It's actually beautiful.
It's actually unseasonably warm today and tomorrow, but it's supposed to dip into the teens by this weekend. So.
It's supposed to be, I looked it up, the low for the evening time on the day of the game is about 24 degrees and about 15% chance of snow and with about 15-mile-an-hour winds. So, but that's, 2 weeks in advance. So who knows what it'll end up being.
Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence Notre Dame could nail a crucial kick like Clemson got to beat SMU Saturday night?
That was a 56-yard field goal, Sean Stiers. My scale of 1 to 10 would be -74. I don't think that Mitch Jeter has that kind of a leg. And that's nothing against Mitch Jeter. We knew that coming in. When he's healthy, he's a very accurate kicker. He's over 90%, obviously, in the SEC when he was down at South Carolina. He's a very accurate kicker, but he doesn't have the massive leg. Just never has. And I don't think anybody on Notre Dame's roster can kick a 56-yard field goal. So it's very low. And, it's a 1 because that's 1 to 10, but it's very, very low because I don't think they physically have a person that can do it. So it's very low.
I don't either. Especially when you start talking about, that if it's as cold as it's supposed to be, which, by the time, you're talking about, end of game scenarios, it's going to be 11:30 or midnight, and it's going to be 15 degrees and the wind's going to be howling out there. The wind swirls in that stadium and, that thing's going to come off like a rock. I'm just, mine is probably a 2. John Kristofik was crazily optimistic. His is 10 out of 10.
Maybe he misunderstood the question.
Yeah. Mine is not good. So Joe wants to know what percentage of the stadium do you think is going to be red?
30. I'm sticking with 30.
I'm going 40.
Okay.
Now the other side of this is it is going to be, cold. So
coats.
Maybe not everyone has. Yeah. So a lot of people wearing coats. Do you actually have red coats?
Good call.
Those Indiana people, they might be wearing those candy striped pants out there, Vince.
Oh, God. Oh, here we go.
How many under 50 people in candy striped pants at Notre Dame Stadium?
So far over. So far over. It's like the same people that wear the black and gold overalls to Purdue games. It's the same thing. The candy striped pants. Oh, there's not a basketball coach, a high school basketball coach in Indiana that can think outside the box and not have candy stripe warm-ups in their school colors.
So over it.
Barf.
USMA 87 wants to know if I've eaten at Postabilities in Syracuse.
I like the name.
Wiki Chicken Ridgy is the bomb. I have not. I texted Jesse and Vince. I went to this place Saturday night that I've always wanted to go in Syracuse that I saw on Guy Fieri's show, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on Food Network a few years ago. It's called Funkin' Waffles. It's like they make all these different varieties of waffles. They have sweet and savory,
Okay.
they have a full page of, in the menu. Some are sweet, like chicken and waffles is one. All these, like I don't think they had a cordon bleu, but I got the jive turkey, which is basically, it's like a waffle made of stuffing, and then they put the potatoes on there, and then they put turkey on top, and then they put the gravy on top. So it's Thanksgiving dinner, and they give you a little thing of cranberry sauce as well. Thanksgiving dinner on a waffle. Fantastic. Dinosaur Barbecue, I have been to, Beefeater. It's been many years, but that was really good. I'd like to go back there again sometime. It's awesome. Loved it.
All right.
So that's your Syracuse food review.
I like it. I like it.
Yes. Well, that's it. It was kind of a sprint to the finish tonight. We had, some really long shows last week, but Vince does have to get going tonight for Dylan's football banquet. Football banquet.
They only do them for seniors at this school.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's why they can go to a restaurant, huh?
Correct.
I guess
they had like an all-team thing in the cafeteria, and it's just like a cattle call, and you get your conference award, and you get your letter.
Like a cattle call.
It takes like 30 minutes. This
Yeah.
one is an actual like sit-down meal, and they do a whole thing. So
nice. Well, congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks.
All-state kicker Dylan D'Addario, double D.
Yeah, man.
Done.
Yep.
And where are you guys going out to eat?
Sneak of the Devil. Here he is.
Oh,
Chicory Cafe.
Chicory. I've never been there.
Neither have I.
All right. We'll enjoy.
All right.
Thanks to everybody for being here tonight. We will be back tomorrow. Vince and I will be here tomorrow, and I've got a pretty good feeling that we're going to talk plenty more Notre Dame IU for the next couple of weeks. What do you think? We got the media schedule. Did you see the media schedule today, by the way?
I did.
You're going to get a little sneak peek of some practice next week.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Okay.
Yeah.
Might take a day off.
Quick opening, but
your hair's on there. Careful, buddy.
All right. Have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Hit the like button before you leave. IB Nation Sports Talk.